Welcome to Health Professional Radio. I'm your host, Neil Howard. Thank you so much for joining us for another segment. Going to be speaking with Mr. Jim Palma this morning, Executive Director at TargetCancer Foundation, and he's joining us here on the program to talk about a new clinical trial called TRACK. Welcome to Health Professional Radio, Jim Palma.
Thank you for having me today.
Give our listeners a bit of your background, and then let's talk about this TRACK study.
Sure. So I'm the Executive Director of TargetCancer Foundation, which is a rare cancer research and patient support foundation based in Cambridge, Massachusetts. I've been with TargetCancer Foundation almost since the beginning, for about 10 years now. We were founded by my brother-in-law, Paul, who had a rare cancer called cholangiocarcinoma. He was diagnosed when he was 38 and started the foundation in reaction to the experience that he had, which is very similar to what many rare cancer patients face, which is a lack of effective treatments, often a lack of research. So while he was being treated, he started a foundation. He passed away in August of 2009, and I joined shortly after that, and I've been with the foundation ever since.
Why is it that rare cancers aren't given more attention? Not necessarily. I understand why some of the more, mainstream cancers get more of the research dollars, But with some of these rare cancers, they are so devastating, it would seem that they should get at least some more attention.
Yeah, it's a great point. And unfortunately, it's often just not the case. So really, when there's a lack of effective research, there's a lack of knowledge, often a lack of basic research tools, things like cell lines or mouse models that are publicly available. Mm-hmm. And the downstream effect of that is that pharmaceutical companies, drug makers don't have the tools that they need to start to develop drugs to target these rare cancers. So unfortunately, it's a common occurrence. And in many cases, rare cancers are treated with maybe outdated chemotherapy regimens or treatments that are extrapolated from other rare cancers, but often not treatments that have been developed for just that cancer. Fortunately, today we're seeing that start to change, and that's really due to the advent of precision medicine and the development of targeted treatments, where as different alterations driving rare cancers are being identified, drugs are starting to be created against them. So it's incredibly encouraging. There's still obviously a very long way to go, but a great development that we're seeing in this field.
Now, why is TRACK called the TRACK trial? What does TRACK stand for?
Sure. So TRACK stands for TargetRare Cancer Knowledge. So in developing the study, we wanted to come up with a quick and easy to remember name and one that represented what we were trying to do. And of course, that incorporates the name of our foundation, but also gets to what we're trying to accomplish at least a little bit with this study.
If one of the participants has had treatment of any kind for their rare cancer, maybe, as you said, with outdated treatments or something other, are they a candidate for this trial, or is this for people who have not had any treatment at all for their particular rare cancer?
Yeah, absolutely. So people are eligible to enroll in the TRACK study really at any point during their treatment. So that might be right at the outset, right after they're diagnosed, or it might be after they've maybe tried multiple lines of therapy and they're looking for a different approach. So in a lot of ways, I think that we hope that we'll see people across that timeline. And we feel like the most effective intervention that we can help to make will be early on, so people can understand from the outset what's driving their cancer. But there will be relevance, and there will be, hopefully really, really critical information that's provided to patients no matter when they enter the trial.
Now, I understand that this trial is supported by Bayer and Foundation Medicine. Is that correct?
Yep. So the trial was it's sponsored and managed by TargetCancer Foundation and was developed in partnership with academic investigators at multiple academic institutions and in partnership with Foundation Medicine as well. And we've been very fortunate to have support from Bayer also really, for a long time in sort of helping us think through different elements of the study, but also providing support as time went on as well.
In my mind, I'm picturing several people in this trial, each with a different type of rare cancer. And I'm wondering how you would pinpoint the treatment that each person needs based on the results of this particular trial. How does it actually work?
Yeah, so I'm happy to talk a little bit about how just how TRACK works in general and how it's a little bit different than other trials. Okay. So basically, TRACK is available to patients with any rare cancer. And that, for the purposes of this trial, that's solid tumors and lymphomas with an incidence of 6 per 100,000 people in the U.S. So that's about 20,000 people per year. And we really intentionally wanted to create or sort of take a wide look at different rare cancers rather than just focusing in on one or two. In addition to that broad cohort of rare cancers, we also will have a separate group of 100 patients with cholangiocarcinoma, as well as 100 patients with cancer of unknown primary. So we're taking our biggest look at rare cancers generally, but then also specifically looking to enroll in those two subsets. And patients who enroll in the TRACK study from the outset will receive comprehensive genomic profiling of tissue and blood through Foundation Medicine. And then the results of those reports will come back to TargetCancer Foundation. And what we'll do is we'll convene a panel of experts, a virtual molecular tumor board, who will evaluate those reports, evaluate the patient's medical history, and then develop a treatment recommendation plan, which will be provided to the patient and their treating physician. So one of the things that's important to note about that part of the process is that we hope to include the patient's treating physician in that meeting of the molecular tumor board, because we feel like it's very important that they not only present their patient, but also have an opportunity to speak with the panel of experts, about the treatments that are being recommended. So by taking a look at the genomics, what we're hoping to do is look past histology. Of course, we're using histology to enroll people in the trial, but we really want to start to take an approach with this trial that looks at genomics, that looks at biomarkers to help define treatment. Because and use those Foundation Medicine reports to really drive treatment, because in rare cancers where often effective treatments aren't available, you have to think outside the box. And that may mean off-label treatments or clinical trials. And we feel like this panel will be able to thoughtfully and expertly provide recommendations for those types of treatments.
Talk a little bit about how you're going to ensure that participants understand that COVID-19 pandemic has affected everything. What types of precautions are you taking? Are they anything above and beyond CDC guidelines, or are they specialized for this particular trial?
Absolutely. So there's one important element of the trial that I haven't mentioned yet that was actually in place and was part of our plan before the COVID pandemic happened. Now that has happened, this part of the trial has become far, far more relevant. So what we chose to do with this trial was incorporate remote consenting. And basically what that means is patients can come to our website, learn about the trial, have an introductory phone call with our study team. And if they're interested in going further, they can actually completely consent to the trial electronically from their home. So it doesn't actually require them to go to the doctor, to travel to an academic medical center, to do any of the things that are normally involved with joining a clinical study. They can really do the entire process from their home. So when we originally developed the study, our thought was we wanted to make sure patients in geographic areas that aren't typically served by studies like this would have the ability to join. That was really why we first incorporated this. We also wanted to help people not have that requirement to travel, which is difficult at any time, but certainly when you're facing a rare cancer diagnosis and maybe dealing with so many other issues related to that, having to get on a plane or take an 8-hour drive to a major center can be incredibly challenging. So through the remote consenting, patients can consent and enroll in the study without having to go anywhere. And it also allows them to keep their treating doctor. They don't have to switch doctors when they join this study. Of course, as travel restrictions and just the danger in travel and going to the hospital, has come up over the past, now 7+ months, this part of the study has become very, very important. And we feel like, it will really help a lot of patients who otherwise wouldn't be able to do something like this, help them to participate. So we're really, really glad that that's the case and hope that we can reach as many patients as possible that way.
Well, Jim, where can our listeners learn more on the internet?
Sure. So at our website, which is www.targetcancerfoundation.org/track. So that That is the track study page where people can read about the study. They can learn about how it works. They can read about the study team and the academic investigators who are involved. And if there's someone who may be eligible for the study and interested in enrolling, the process would begin there as well.
Well, I appreciate you joining us here on the program this morning.
Thank you for having me. It's been great talking to you.
You've been listening to Health Professional Radio with Mr. Jim Palma, Executive Director at TargetCancer Foundation. Audio copies of this program are available at hpr.fm and healthprofessionalradio.com.au. You can also subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, listen in, download at SoundCloud, and be sure and subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com, Health Professional Radio.